What's up, guys? Welcome back to Hidden Equity. Today, we are talking about a business owner mindset in the sense of what I have learned over the course of my career and how I can help you. So, I am a residential real estate agent, and these are three things that I have learned throughout the course of my career just through experience. Number one, we are not a messenger. Number two, no shit talking. And number three, less is more. So, oh, when I say we are not the messenger, I mean that wholeheartedly. Now, in the beginning of your career, I understand why you feel like you are the messenger because you're like this little ping pong that's just like bouncing around and you have no idea what the timelines are, how to fill out any documents. You don't really know how to negotiate. It's just a very blind, intangible path that you go down, and you don't have a ton of help. Even if you have a mentor or an office manager or somebody who you can look up to, they're not really cut out to be teachers. They're there to help you and for you to lean on them, but they're not a teacher. And so I say that because a lot of people just deliver the message in the beginning of their career. And recently I worked with someone who has top 1% in her email signature. She had been bragging to me about how she had been working with these clients for over 8 years. But when I came to her with an issue, she said, Lauren, I'm just the messenger. And I did everything in my power not to tell her she doesn't deserve her paycheck. Because that is truly how I feel. If you believe that your job is just to be the messenger, you don't deserve the client and you don't deserve the paycheck. And you are literally showing everybody who thinks that we don't deserve our paycheck that we don't deserve our paycheck. You have to have a brain. You can't just be reactive. You have to be proactive. Your job is to field questions. Your job is to protect your client. Your job is to be on your client's side and make sure that anything that is supposed to come their direction, it filters through you first. That is so important. If you take every question that is asked to you, oh, let me check. Oh, let me check. Oh, let me check. I have literally had people say, why did I hire you? Why am I paying you? That hits home. And that makes you realize, okay, I need to stop and think and understand what information do I have and how can I answer this question before I go to the client? A lot of people don't do that. We're on autopilot. We're trying to do as much as we can in just like jam pack every day. And that's why we mess up. That's why people don't like us, trust us, don't think highly of us, and we as real estate agents don't have a great reputation because we feel like a paycheck. We make people feel like a paycheck. That's our own fault. So you need to make it very clear with yourself that you are not a messenger. Number two, no shit talking. I know that when you are not getting along with another agent, it's really easy as a human being to go talk to your client who's also a human being and let them know what the hell just happened. What happened in that conversation so that you can just get all the shit talking off your chest that you need to and how dumb they are and this and that, right? That's not professional. And every time I've ever done that, it always comes back to bite me in the ass. It kind of sets up an unlevel playing field. And now your client has a skewed view of the other side. And I always regret it every time I get further into the transaction because the client hangs on to like one thing that I said in my shit talking session. And they always bring it back and they're like, oh, well, I guess this. And they just, keep bringing it up. And I'm like, oh, I just wince. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. God damn it. Like you can't take it back. And they remember it. So it's really important not to. Now, when you're working with seasoned buyers or sellers, or when you're just working with an inquisitive entrepreneur mindset, that's a different story. And this kind of ties into number three, which is less is more. Take what it is that you need to tell your client. If you have to practice it before to choose the correct words, you can do that. I frequently do that to make sure that I don't overshare or blab too much or get too conversational and relaxed about it. Understand what it is you want to say and what the message is that you are trying to deliver, and keep it concise, keep it direct. Tying back to those inquisitive people, especially when it comes to the shit talking, you want to present the less is more style. And if they start asking questions because there might be some holes in your story, you will recognize that the questions they're asking come across as very professional, and they come across as information that they think they need in order to make a decision or in order for something in the transaction to move forward. But I hate to say that's not really true. But there's just times when the conversation has to be revealed. And again, you have to keep it professional and just say, well, this is what happened and blah, blah, blah. And just kind of let them come to their own conclusion, again, by giving them a little bit of the rope, but not fully talking shit. They will come back and say, Lauren, I know you're very professional and I know you don't want to talk smack about the other agent, but I kind of need to know what they said. And I start laughing because I know that they know me well enough that I'm trying to not let it go down that slippery slope. So just something to think about. Your client does not need to know word for word every single piece of the conversation that you guys had. Just give them high level. If you need to think of it as bullet points, that always helps. You just want the client to get the answer. Sometimes they don't even know how to get the answer. And then going full circle back to not just the messenger, you want to make sure that you are shielding them and protecting them from as much unnecessary thinking, emotions, money, all of it that they don't need to experience. And then when they come back and tell you how easy it was and how smooth their transaction was and how great their experience was, you can give yourself a pat on the back. And I do that frequently. I just had a double closing, and I had the seller and I also had the buyer. But the double closing is that the seller was moving to a new home in a different part of Florida. And I called the lender for my buyer every single business day for 6 weeks to make sure that that loan stayed on track. I followed up with an email and I CC'd the title girl, the lawyer. At the end of this transaction, it closed successfully on time. And when the lawyer called to tell me that we closed and congratulations, she said, Lauren, I have been doing this for 2 decades. I have never seen a double closing happen on the day it's supposed to. When I have a chance, I will be telling the seller what you did to make this happen. Oh my God, it makes me so happy. And I said, how can somebody allow this to not happen? And she said, it's Miami. People don't care. People just assume that everybody has more time and it's fine. And I said, well, that wasn't about to happen on my watch. I'm not going to let these people be homeless because that comes back on me and that's my reputation. So yes, selfishly, I didn't want this to be delayed, but also out of protection of my client, I needed to make sure that I got the job done. And lo and behold, the lawyer was related to them. And I didn't know. They did not have the same last name. And when she exposed that small detail, I was like, oh, wow. Pat on the back to me for doing what I needed to do just to protect my client and get them there. And those are the moments that nobody sees. Those are the moments that nobody cares. But I did it. And I'm happy with my results. My client was happy with my results. And the fact that it was acknowledged really it made a huge difference in my life. It really did. I'm like, okay, it feels good to be acknowledged and seen and appreciated. So anyway, those are my 3 things I've learned. Don't be the messenger. Use your brains. That's why God gave you one. Do not talk shit. And less is more. What else do you live by? I'm sure I'll be coming back with more videos on other things that I've implemented into my business. This was a fun one. Let me know your thoughts.